What's up, High Speed Daddy Nation? Corey here. And each week we get a chance to bring you, this guy. I keep going this way. This guy, one of the founders of High Speed Daddy, Craig Rizzoli. But there's another name down there that you might not recognize. You might have seen him in a couple ads. You might have seen him working out, lifting some super heavy weights. That's George Bryant down there. And these are the two High Speed Daddies, and we've got them both in the same place. So we're here to talk about, what to do and some tips and tricks when you got to fly solo. And fly solo how? Well, flying solo as a parent. A lot of us high-speed parents out there believe in a 50-50 partnership. We believe in helping, chip in together with the kids. But oftentimes there's a situation, or maybe you're a single parent and you've got to fly solo, or dealing with a health issue, or potentially dealing with deployment. There's a whole list of things. So I'm going to hand things over to Craig. We're going to try to help you as much as possible with some tips and tricks to get you some resources for flying solo and go from there.
What's happening, everybody? As Corey mentioned before, George is joining us today. George is also an owner of High Speed Daddy. You don't see him as much as me because he's off doing other fancy things in fancy parts of the world, as you can see right there. That's not a green room background, unlike my little industrial basement here. George is enjoying, quarantine in a very fancy part of the world. But as I mentioned, George is the other half of High Speed Daddy here. And, real quick, if George, you want to talk a little bit where you are and what you're doing and stuff like that, and then we'll jump into some of the tips, tricks, and things that we got for you today.
Yes, sir. And I'll keep it brief. So we own a home in the mountains. It's just Mammoth Mountain. There's just 150,000 less people here. So we wanted to be as socially isolated as possible. And so there's only 400 people around. So we're just at a rental property that we own. And so, I'm a lovely owner and business partner of Craig, active duty veteran, 12 years in the Marine Corps. And I spend all my time helping companies ethically scale by doing things like this and helping people with content and helping you any way that we can. And at High Speed Daddy, that's our job, is to help everybody provide, protect, connect, and do anything in our power and everything in our power to help you achieve your goals as a parent, as a spouse, as a husband and a wife. And so I'm honored to be here. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, I definitely like his view better than mine. I retreat to a cave. He retreats to the beautiful mountains. Someone smack me in the face next time we do this. All right. So today what we're talking about is, we have so many people in our community that are part of the military, veterans, active duty. We have first responders that follow us, and we have the spouses of all of those people as well. So what do you do when your spouse is basically out, doing their deal, working the jobs that they're working, and you're at home, sheltering in place by yourself with the family and all that stuff? And basically the tips that we have for you here, and George has been through a couple deployments. I've been away on military trainings and service as well, and things like that. We have a lot of friends that are first responders, police officers. My brother-in-law is a first responder. He's a police officer. I see my sister having to single parent occasionally when he's, doing his thing, and things along those lines. And what do you do? And basically when it comes down to it is, and George, you can chip in as well, but through my military service, the big thing that it taught me is have a plan, right? And that 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So have a plan, but also have a backup for that plan as well. And that applies to everything that you're either doing that day or things that you're going to happen to do during the week. And this is the same stuff that we do in business here. We project out what we're doing for the week, and we wake up and we have everything scheduled out. So then when we wake up, everything's proactive instead of putting your brain into the reactive mode, where it's going to be, very anxiety driven. So that could be scheduling meals ahead of time, what you're going to cook, what you're going to buy, scheduling activities with the kids, having things, basically in a magical bucket that you can just kind of pull out. And that's theoretical, right? That you can just kind of pull out of the bucket activities in the Army. And I'm not sure, George, again, chip in and call me wrong if the Marines were different than the Army, we used to call it hip pocket training. So this was things that if there was any downtime, these are things to give to the lower enlisted guys to have them do something to keep them busy, right? To keep you busy, keep them busy, because God forbid there's downtime, because people always get in trouble, just like kids will always get in trouble when they're left by themselves to do stuff. So this is kind of having like that little bucket of activities that you could give them, whether it could be coloring, whether it could be going outside and just playing on the trampoline for a while or something along those lines. Just some things there.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So for me, it's really, there's like 3 tips that I think really resonate everything, especially like flying solo in the wake of a lack of certainty, right? Like everybody's living with this lack of certainty, a lack of understanding of what's going to happen, where it's going to go. And so the first step for me is always kind of doing what the Stoics call a memento mori, kind of throwing all the cards on the table, right? This is where we are. This is where we're going. This is the worst that could happen. This is potentially, and being just aware of the field that you're on as a solo parent, a single parent, or even dual parents, like understanding that there's a lot of uncertainty here. And so just understanding the game, because you can make all the plans in the world and I guarantee you they're not going to go as you plan them to go. And so when you're aware of all the shoots and the ins and the outs, then you're better prepared to respond versus react. And you never want to be reacting to things, because that's where you get into trouble. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is give yourself space. You have to make sure that you fill your bucket. And, I'm a parent. I have 2 kids. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I have a 3.5-year-old son going on 13 and bossing me around. And, there's times where it's like, hey, I need some space. And I need 10 minutes to fill my bucket. I need to go for a walk. I need to do breath work. We're going on a car ride. Get on your iPad. We're going for a drive, right? Like windows down, music blaring. So number 2 is always fill your bucket and make sure that your bucket is full, because that bucket full is what's going to do you the best service to be proactive and to respond versus react, and understand that nothing is happening to you. It feels that way. There's a lot of stuff there. Center yourself, get into your breath, and understand that in that moment, you can still choose. Unless somebody's life is on the line in that moment, you don't need to make a decision in 10, 20, 30, 40 seconds. Take a couple minutes.
And hey, George,
yeah.
I'm just going to cut in because Phoenix Gold just commented, and he's like, hey, man, I need some advice there. So I'd love to kind of elaborate on giving yourself some space and filling your bucket, because I think that, talking about it is one thing, but maybe we just go to each one of us and talk about, I know you, George, you mentioned the breath, but breath is so transformational. I've done it with you where you're just standing right in front of me, like breathe right now, and it's transformational. Can you talk about just breathing for a quick second?
Yeah, for sure. And I love that idea. And so the third part of it ties to that. I'll talk about specifically how to fill your bucket. But the third part is, and I'm going to say this to everybody right now, forgive yourself. You've done nothing wrong, right? Like emotions are going to come up: sadness, anger, resentment, fear, uncertainty, on the other side of excitement and joy, right? And so make sure you forgive yourself. Make sure that you're not holding things against yourself. Make sure that you're being gentle and nice to yourself, because the perfect parent is the one that makes adjustments and always comes back into the game. That's the definition of a perfect parent. Like, oh, I'm learning. I get to love differently. I get to shift better. I get to lead more. I get to respond differently. And that's the game. It's iterative. So on tip number 2, filling your bucket. For me, I personally, and I can just share my experience of like how this works for me. So I know that if I get woken up in the morning, my entire day feels off kilter and out of control. And so I intentionally wake up, 2 hours before my family. And I spend that time in solitude. I read, I journal, I do breath work, I meditate. But what I make sure of is that I'm choosing how I show up in the world that day, not somebody else choosing how I'm going to show up in the world that day. And so for me, it's about always carving out that space so I can choose. And so one of the techniques that I use is breath. And breath work is the most underutilized free resource that will transform your life in a matter of seconds. And so to not teach you breath work, just go Google box breathing or Wim Hof breathing, but box breathing is great. And it's a good thing to try to be proactive about. When you wake up in the morning, do box breathing. When you take a break from your parenting or the kids go down for the nap, do some breath. Before you go to bed, do some breath, and make sure that you're giving yourself that time and the space to be able to fill your tank. And just that simple act of breathing, you're breathing life into your body. The one thing that keeps us going every day that we take for granted, you get to be intentional with. It brings you presence, it gets you grounded, and it gets you into where you need to be, which is in your body, not in your head, worrying about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow, but like in that present moment. And so that's what does it for me.
Nice. Craig, how about you? How do you spend time,
So,
in your own?
Obviously it's a lot of the same things that George said, right? But the other thing that goes into that too is eating healthy, exercise. These are all the things that we all know what to do and how to do. It's just the fact of doing it, the act of doing those things, right? And waking up, as George said, a couple hours earlier before the family wakes up gives you that time to start your day off on the right foot, right? Because if you go into your day, then you're just not going to find the time to make that happen, right? Everyone's got the same amount of time in a day. It's just what you're choosing to do with that time. If you're choosing to be proactive and schedule these things out, such as the night before, as I said, make a plan the day before, knowing that tomorrow I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm doing these things. I'm having this food prepared ahead of time. Everything's going to fall in a line. But sometimes things happen, right? Like Mike Tyson said, everyone knows how they're going to act in a fight until they get punched in the face. Something along that. I just butchered it, and George is probably just smack me.
Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah, there you go. So, but if you have a plan lined up, it's better than having no plan at all, right? It's going to set you up that much more for success in that day or that week, whatever it may be. But I find that journaling helps me a lot. Of course, George mentioned the breath work. With the journaling, everyone takes and complicates journaling too much. Put your pen on the paper and just write down what comes to mind. What I like to do, very simple. I wake up in the morning, 3 things that I'm grateful for, 3 affirmations real quick, 3 things I want to accomplish for the day. And that's my morning journaling, literally. At night, 3 things that went well for the day, 3 things to improve on, 3 things I'm grateful for. And possibly, depending if I have some angst and anxiety, a brain dump, which is literally anything that comes to mind, I'm writing down for the next 30 seconds or a minute. Yeah. So that's my journaling. That's how easy it is. Okay. It's just getting that stuff out of your head so that you can clear your mind to set yourself up for the next day. What about yourself, Corey?
For me, I am blown away by my kids working out with me. So I've got a 4-year-old little Parker. I've got 9-year-old Roger and 11-year-old Izzy. Izzy dances like 7 days a week, so she's like incredible, in amazing shape anywhere. Uh-oh, Bonnie just commented, "Do you know this person, Rizzoli?"
Yeah, that's my number 1 supporter. That's Mama.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's my mother.
Hi, Miss Rizzoli. Listen, my kids are working out with me, and it's so awesome. I got to be honest, like I kind of run it like drill sergeant style. And I say that being not a military guy, okay?
You have no idea.
I know, right? little Corey barking commands to his kids. It's not drill sergeant style.
Corey, I feel like you should video this just for Craig and my to laugh. 100.
Yes,
humor.
I challenge you to do that for tomorrow. Yes,
I'll video it tomorrow. But having my 4-year-old do switch leaps is just really cute. And I'm finding myself cracking up, like watching him do dips and everything. And it's a real cool bonding experience. And I think it sets the groundwork for the entire day because he goes right into schoolwork right after it. And so, we talk about the focus.
It's not even that. It's you're providing an example for him, right?
Yeah.
And these are the things that he's going to remember going forward that he's then going to do with his own kids, right? So you're creating a legacy right now by doing that. And that's the cool thing is without you even trying, it's automatically going to happen. Yeah. Right. So by doing these good and positive things with your kids and with your family, even as a single parent, or it could be with both parents, right? That it's going to provide those examples. So how do you want to show up in the world, right? You want to show up in a positive light and provide great examples for your kids and provide good examples for them to grow up and be good parents, or do you're going to resort to fear and go put yourself in a cave, right?
One of the other things is like a gratitude thing that I think, we're talking about flying solo, if you're flying solo, whatever. I had my kids write down 30 things on a piece of paper that they love about mom when mom wasn't there. And then we cut them up and they were supposed to like hand 3 of them to her like every hour. And it was so amazing. Like, not only were the kids thankful, but I mean, I got some great brownie points with my wife, and like, it was super happy feelings, you know. So, but gratitude, it's about gratitude, and I think being thankful for what you do have, especially in the current climate, is massively important. You know,
100%.
And one thing that I wanna jump in really quickly as we talk about all these tips is that, you know, the state of the world outside of yourself and outside of your home, there's a lot that we can't control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it can feel isolating. It can feel alone, but you're never alone as a parent. There's always a group of people, a community of people. That's why we exist. That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's that, like, we all have fears. We all have uncertainty. We're all trying to figure out how to be homeschooling parents. And I said, I've always wanted this. And, you know, I'm getting the bed that I wished for right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really easy in those times of fear and anxiety and angst and pressure and uncertainty to kind of shallow in, right? To disconnect, to numb out, to be like, I'm alone, and allow those thoughts and beliefs to become true. And you don't need them to. That's why we have our Facebook group. That's why we have our family. Like, you can hit reply to any one of our emails and tell us your entire life story, and Craig and I will read it and respond. We will support you. We will get on a call. We will do anything that we can, because we feel the same thing. Just because we run the company doesn't mean we're immune to this. Like, we've been through deployments, we've been through separations, and it's just as hard on me and Craig and Corey as it is everybody else. But it's the power of community and understanding that together we can do all this. So just understand, as you're going through this, that it's okay to have these feelings, and it's okay to lean in. Just, I'm going to challenge everybody that you lean in, not out. Just lean in and lean in and lean in.
Yep. Amazing. Well, I think that, you know, it's been 16 minutes of awesome talk to you guys. I love connecting with you guys, and everybody watching, you know, every Wednesday at 4:30 Eastern, we're here. And if you want to come and join us and you want to share this out with someone that you think could use some support right now, we're 3 dads, but it's open. Our fan page, the High Speed Daddy fan page, is 4:30 every single Wednesday. And if there's somebody that needs some help, I encourage you to share this with them and have them come on, have them ask them questions. We're no experts, but darn it, we'll get through it together. You know, we'll get through it together.
And I challenge all of you to try me. Go ahead and hit reply to an email. Watch what happens.
Yeah.
Not joking. Try it.
One went out today. We had one go out today. Oh, John says hi from West Texas Oil Patch.
So John,
I can't beat that one. I can't. From a West Texas oil patch. Like,
Here we go. There we go.
John, you win. You win.
we appreciate it. You know what, John? Reach out to me. Reach out to us, High Speed Daddy. Send us a DM, and we got something special for you. Send your info over our way.
Christmas Craig. Christmas Craig is in the house.
Yep.
Christmas Craig.
We're gonna make it happen.
You get a prize, and you get a prize. You better send Bonnie something too.
Bonnie's been sent a lot. Okay. No joke. The most recent, Bonnie and Anthony, my parents, I just sent them a bunch of face masks because I got sick of seeing my father walk around with a handkerchief. I was like, geez, I have face masks for you.
I love it. I love it.
My wife is epic troll level with face masks. We just ordered custom ones on Etsy, so get ready to see these things making an appearance.
Oh, I believe it.
Love it. Keep it up. All right, everybody. Hey, listen, have a great day. Thank you all for tuning in. Whether you're watching on the replay or you're watching live, thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. And we can't wait to see you next Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.